Today in the shop, we had a wonderful time with the weather. Cooperated better than I ever expected. I know that it was going to go up to over freezing by lunchtime, and there was not much wind blowing. So I really wanted to take advantage of this day. I got down to the cellar, got the wheel sanded out, got it prepped up, did a few touch-ups on it that I showed on the video where I had gone through. Totally took advantage of this. Is in the, while it still should be snowing out, and we are getting things done almost every day here in the shop. It's amazing how unpredictable the weather is, but from this day on it's supposed to start warming up a little bit. But this was still a pretty cold day, and we managed to get the wheel done. By day's end, we were laughing. Now, this morning I came out here, and the last of the Ducati Clear is on now. And this part, I'm not sure you can see it in real life, or the way it should be, but this really did come out nice. This is going to sit up by a heating vent for a few days, and then we're going to obviously try to buff it out. But extra dry time is always in our favor right now. But this was well worth all the patience we put into this part already. Now today, the weather report is, and Karen just reminded me, the next 3 days, not today. Today we're still below freezing in the morning. But we will warm up enough to paint this afternoon, so our project today is going to be to get the last of the clear on the front wheel of the GS project. I'm sure we're going to be able to do that today. We'll get the sanding done, take a little coffee break, wait for it to come up above freezing. Even 35 would be nice, even 40 would be better. Put that last coat of clear on and switch the parts. This can go down under the heating vent. The wheel can come back out, sit in the garage overnight. And one of the things I've let go, and I really haven't had a chance to do it, but maybe in the next 3 days we will, I don't know, is get up to Luciano's one of those days and check out how the paint job we did for his H1, the blue and silver paint job, how that looks. Now he's got a true evil twin. Our evil twin is coming up on the end of the project. We're going to be getting that done in a couple weeks, maybe a month the most, depending on, we're always a slave to the weather. There's nothing you can do about it. Since Jay Leno has not offered me the use of his garage. So Luciano's got his H1 Evil Twin project. We have this. We're going to hopefully have this done very soon, within a month anyway, and have that Evil Twinned out. It just, I can't wait to get up there and see that. That silver and blue paint job on the H1 came out so good. And then, as you can imagine, once he's happy with that, and once a little bit warmer weather gets here, we need to have a 2-stroke day. But right now it's time to make sure all these chargers are charged, and the main thing, that part, I have to bring that Ducati panel down into the cellar, clean the ice on the pond, feed the birds, feed the fish, feed me, feed Karen, feed the worms. There's no end to it here on the farm. Just looking at that in the sun before we bring it down into the cellar and start moving things around. And if we're really lucky, in the next 3-4 days, the rest of the snow will melt up here, the ice will melt, and life will get a lot simpler on the farm. Birds and coffee, what a combination. What a way to get the day started. The birds are so anxious this morning, they haven't even noticed I haven't shut the window yet. Scared the poor birds. See what they do, they wait out on a tree for me to open a window and put the seeds in the feeder, and then sometimes they just fly in. We've had them fly in the house and go, what's that? Now with that part up under the heating vent, that's going to sit 2 or 3 days. This part actually is ready to buff out. Now I did this on purpose. Give that an extra day. It'll make the buffing out a lot easier. And because today's probably a paintable day, almost guaranteed that temperature is going to come up over freezing, I'll get the wet sanding done on that. That takes a couple hours. That'll already be noontime. By noontime I'll be ready to put the clear on and put everything away then. Then we've got all the clear on the projects. Then there'll be 2 or 3 days, hopefully. We even can sneak a ride in. But in the meantime, we can take the oldest part and do the buffing on the oldest part. And that'll just make it a lot easier and a lot smoother, and we'll do it in real time. And I think also it'll coordinate with Vlad's trip. We have to go to Gavin's and buy paint. I need to get some more of the 8065 buffing compound, and the only place in the world I know to get it is in Gavin's. So backing this up just a little bit, the reason I want to put that extra coat of clear on this last coat of clear on this, I did put the extra coat on this, and it just made that such a, I don't know, just a better quality job. I was really happy. We certainly have the time right now, and it's, to me, these are the little things that make it worth putting the extra effort in. Yeah, this wheel certainly came out fine. We've got plenty of gloss on it, but I know it'll look a little nicer, just a little bit nicer with that extra coat on. And today's going to be the day. Now I want to wet sand this whole thing out with 1000 grit. That's the next step. And this is a big name brand. I said a couple days ago, or maybe yesterday, one of the things I got caught up in, and I was ordering stuff from the internet because we were snowed in here, and I did get some years ago, get a couple of cheapy sandpapers that were a third cheaper than big name brands, and they just wore right out. They were just terrible. So I'm trying to stick with Indasa, Mirka, some of the big name brands. Now most of this I have to do by hand, almost everything. There's really not many places you can get a block in here, and it's a delicate job. It's time consuming, and to be honest, it really pays. Every minute you put on this, the job gets nicer and nicer and nicer. So I'm not going to try to skimp on it. I probably have, since I have a nice early start today, and I've had that extra cup of high test coffee, I should be able to at least get the sanding done before noon. And then what I'm really looking forward to, the big thing, getting that last clear on here. Now I got really good feedback from my friends and from the former A-teamers. They love this stuff I put on the end of the video, the photo shows and some of the old footage, and we got a lot more coming. I'm glad that worked out well, but I have some really cool stuff to tack on the end of this video. I won't let the cat out of the bag yet though. But the A-team, years ago, the A-team, we had adventures within adventures within adventures. There was no end to it. But we've all kind of gone our separate way, but we still have these memories. Okay, so I wanted to do this as methodically as possible and just reinforce, as I've done in the past. I try to do one segment at a time, one segment, then the bars, then in here. But basically to break it up into as many little jobs as possible and not skimp and not try to look at the clock and say, gee, I'll be done in a half an hour or 10 minutes or 3 minutes or something. This is the kind of thing, it just, there's no other way I know to do it. Just take your time, patience, and go have that extra cup of coffee. That's the magic bullet. Now here in fast forward, I think you can see how I segment out the job. Try to get the whole rim done first. That would be, it goes without saying. And then move on to the bars. And at the last thing, detail it out by hand. It's just a labor of love, and there's no way to make this faster except put it in fast forward. Now because I'm really being careful and trying to make the paint on the edge as thin as possible, see I've gone through there, that's okay. We're going to touch that up at the very end of this. I'll lay the tape back over the orange and just touch that up very slightly. That's the only spot I see so far. But with half of the rim done now, with the other half ready to go, it's always nice to take a break once you get a chunk of this done, and that's a nice chunk. It's time for a break. And what's good about having one wheel already done, you have a little inspiration. You say, well, it really will be worthwhile when I get this done. And of course, the second side always goes just a little bit faster, but knowing we got one side done, second side should go a little bit quicker. Now again, in fast forward, and I try to work one little area at a time, detailing it out as I go. And there's just no quick way to do this that I know of. There's no power tools, there's no Dremel tools, there's nothing except your fingertips, and maybe that little sanding stick at the very end to detail out corners. But if you just accept the fact it's a long journey and get started, it seems to go. Now all that's left is I want to get the little sanding stick in here, and I want to show this up close if I can. What this is good for is getting right in this little valley, right in this little valley, right in this little valley, because that's where your finger really doesn't reach. Down in here. This is a great little tool for detailing, and we'll detail that whole rim out, and then we'll move on to the spokes. Well, both sides of that are done now. Now we can start on one by one on these spoke areas. And a lot of it we can do by hand, and then at the very end we need that little tool. And again, that little tool gets down in these little areas with a little piece of sandpaper on it. Just makes getting down in there easier. And of course, the thing to always remember, it's just time, just a labor of love you're working on. And if you do this often enough, you get used to the idea that your fingertips get a little tired, or your biceps get a little tired, or whatever. This is just like going to the gym, going to the sanding gym. All right, with one side done, we're coming down the home stretch. Not going to spend a lot of time on the hub because you really, when the discs are on, you don't even see that. But I really want to get these bars as nice and detailed as possible. And we are coming down the home stretch at last. Well, I got everything done here that I wanted to do. Both sides, spokes, everything. Next thing is to wipe down all of the paint residue off of this. Get some prep oil, get it cleaned up. I want to back mask off that stripe. There's 3 or 4 other little spots I've gone through. So I want to do this very judiciously. I don't want to have a spot that I missed. And I'll look at this under the fluorescent lights to see if there's any other spot. There may be more. I don't know. But the whole idea is to keep that area out there thin, because that's where, when you're putting a tire on or taking it off, that's where if you chip the paint, oh man. And the thicker you make the paint, the more prone it is to chip. The thinner you can make it, it's in your favor 100% of the time to have it as thin as possible. Big, thick, decoupage kind of paint, it's really not in your favor, and it's prone to crack. It's prone to dry out as time goes by. Even modern paint, it's always a good idea to have it as thin as possible. On this job, before I do the back masking for this touch-up, and I see there are a few other spots, but I have really made an effort at keeping that paint along the edge thin. Maybe I overdid it a little bit, but nothing we can't undo. And that is, believe me, that is a critical part of having this perfectly clean before we put the last coat of clear on. Is really an important thing. I don't want any dust in it. All right, so this is the part of the job that this is the time-consuming little part of the job that a lot of people leave out. And once you seal this stuff in, any little dust or dirt or fingerprints, it's sealed into the paint forever. So spending a few minutes now with the Q-tip and getting in all these little corners and angles and edges, a great investment. Now, when I do this, I always like to take a coffee break and let it dry out, because I don't want to take a chance when I'm going to be doing a touch-up paint, so it really doesn't matter. But what I was trying to pass on was not to do a prep wall thing and run right out and 30 seconds later paint, especially in cold weather. This stuff really doesn't evaporate as quick as it would in hot weather, so I'd like to get that totally dry. And we'll blow it down with compressed air, but I still have to do the touch-ups. And I have to, it's good that I did, because I can show how I do the touch-ups. Maybe I'll sand through on purpose. There's one right there. I got to look around. What I basically have to do is mask off the orange so I don't get any black overspray over the orange. And that's common sense. But it's time for a coffee break. A coffee break always makes this kind of work more palatable. This will make the second half of the job go a lot quicker. That's the key to life. Now this really doesn't have to be fancy. I'm just backmasking off the orange stripe. There's a very small touch-up area around the edge. A high spot. I don't want to get any black overspray on this. It'll only take a minute to backmask it. There's a couple little spots in there I want to get, and I can do it right in the shop where the lighting is good. Once you see what'll happen, once I take this out in the sun, I'm not going to be able to see these spots, and it's going to slip by me. I don't want to have that either. So this is better to get it touched up now and get that buried in the clear. And there's very few times I've ever painted anything that you don't need something touched up. It's always a good idea to just do it right before the final clear. Give it a good once over. And we could do it right here in the shop. Now it looks like all our patience has really paid off, and I'm looking for any little spot here. This is a little spot right there. You don't have to put much paint on because we're going to bury it in clear. A little spot there. And it's telling me that we absolutely have done a good job of keeping the paint thin around the edges. That's really good. That's always in our favor, to have it thin around the edges. That's a biggie. And the last thing, just carefully pulling this back. I've already hit it with a heat gun just to warm it up. Get this off. And we're ready to mix clear. And it looks like we got a spectacular day out there. It's the kind of day I try to always save for the clear. One final tack ragging and we are ready to paint. And it is, boy, it is just perfect. It's cold, of course, but there's not a lot of wind blowing, and that's really to our favor big time. And the sun is bright, which means it'll be very easy to control the flow out of the paint. I can do that visually. It really is helpful when it's sunny like this. Super, super helpful, in fact. And the final detailing of the wheel, we've done all the touch-ups. This is the final tack ragging, and I'll be ready to mix paint. And this is the clear we're going to be using. That has been working well. And I always keep the tip of the gun in a jar of acetone, clear acetone. Now here in fast forward and on the first coat, I always try to get the mixture fine-tuned just so I get a nice, well, it's hard to explain. I don't want to have a big sloppy wet coat. I want a lot of thin coats. A lot of thin coats go on better, and a lot less chance you're going to wind up with runs or errors. Okay, one side done. Just let that, I'm babysitting it, keep the wheel moving, so if there's any chance we're going to have a run, we'll try to avoid it. We'll flip this over, do the other side. And what a perfect day for painting. A little bit breezy, but nothing that we can't deal with. You know, even though we had a little bit of breeze come up halfway through this paint work, it never got to the point that it was a few days ago where things were blowing off the table and I was afraid that I damaged some of the parts. Today actually turned out to be a wonderful day to paint, and I'm glad I waited for it. Well, we just got to babysit this between coats now. Time for a good break, but I keep the wheels spinning. Yeah, it's turned out to be a pretty nice day out here, and then we'll get the second coat on both sides. And by the time I'm getting the second coat on, it's starting to really get glossy. And here's where having a bright sunny day is a giant advantage, because you can see the way the paint is flowing, and you can make little adjustments to the gun if you have to, or you can find spots that just look a little dull or a little oversprayed and wet them out. It's a big advantage to have the sun shining like that. And that's the look I want with this. Every time the sun hits one of the spokes or one of the edges or the facets, that's what I'm looking for. And it looks like I'm going to have exactly what I want very soon. I love how that light just sparkles off things. And what happens is, and I remember from riding behind Joe Roselli's first MV Agusta, how that light used to sparkle on the back wheel. This is going to sparkle too. And as I come down the home stretch here at the end of the second coat, I can just see this is gonna just flow out and gloss out just better than I could have ever expected, given the fact this time of year how unpredictable the weather is. Just unpredictable. Look at a blue sky in the background. Well, all that's left is dry in the garage overnight. That couldn't have gone any better. Wow, that really did go well. Now looking at this very critically, after a good half hour of babysitting it, back and forth, rotating it, looking to see if I've got even one little speck, no bugs, no birds have pooped on it. Well, I am just beside myself how nice that came out. And it confirms in my mind, why is it always worth being patient in life for everything? Well, I could not have wished for a better day than today. The wheel is just as nice as can be. It's going to sit out in the garage 24 hours and go back into under the heating vent for a few days, and we'll be ready to do one of the final steps. Now, before I end the video, I want to thank the healthcare workers. Guys, thank you so much. I'm due to get my shot in, I think, a week and a half or something, and I'm not sure if that's going to protect me or make me a better painter, or maybe it'll keep me alive. I don't know. That's a good choice. Anyway, I got something special to put on the end of this video. Years ago with the A-Team, we had some real adventures when the A-Team was when knighthood was in glory, or whatever the saying is. Anyway, we had some good times. I'm going to tack on a few feet from my video library that I think you'll bring back some good memories if you're one of the A-Team, and if you're not, hey, you should be. Send me the money and we'll sign you up right now. Anyway, hope you did enjoy the video, and thanks so much for watching. Now we do try to post up something interesting every day. Now, what I'm going to post at the end of this is a few minutes of a series of videos I made when we were the A-Team, and it's called Overhauling. Now, we kind of made fun of Chip Foose, who's A-Team. We stole his name. I guess we did. Anyway, and his name of his show was Overhauling. So we would go, when the A-Team was in its peak, from one person's garage to the other. Here we are at Bob Navola's house. Here we're ripping down a shed at Luciano's, and Luciano's wife Cindy graciously made everybody homemade pizza at the end of the day. And we had some adventures. Now, looking back, because the A-Team is not all together now, we got to get together again one time. Najat has several, he donated the cameras that I'm using on these videos. Glenn and Luciano had many adventures together, and some of them a lot more fun than when you look back at these. Some of the things didn't go exactly the way we planned, putting the engine in Glenn's Ducati. But we used to call that series of videos Overhauling, and they're all out on the channel. But this is just a little outtake of them. I think you'll enjoy this few minutes. Now we're all at Bob's house. This is Bob's first shop work day. And he's got this bike that he got for free, and we're trying to clean it up for him a little bit. Yeah. We got all of the special customized tools. Some of the world's top mechanics. Yeah. Some of the world's top everything here, but we don't know what they're the top of. Oh!
Top from the bottom up. There you go.
Hey. Ducati service, there you go. Now Chip Foose called us up and he said, would you like to be overhauled, Bob? Bob, do you want to be overhauled?
Yes, yeah, I've been overhauled.
Where's Chip Foose when we need him? Holy cow.
He's good. Chip
yeah,
Foose,
yeah. Take a few of you. Talk about paint on your gloves. Look at this. Anyway, this really was an amazing day. And for the people that missed it, this has truly been, it's truly been an overhauling Glenn. Overhauling Glenn. This is Chip Foose signing out. Overhauling Glenn.
Chocolate chip cookies. Chocolate chip Foose.
Chocolate chip Foose. Now the only problem with this demolition job that I see is we tore the wrong shed down. Come on, guys! Right. We get this done and we'll drive up to Perkins today. There you go. Come on. Come on. Let's go. I love being in management. Oh my God, look at this. And you thought Jose was just good at eating donuts. Look at this. Look at him go.
told him you're feeding them at the end.
You got the ambulance on speed dial.
Underneath the shed.
Bob, you got the ambulance on speed dial?
Yeah, I have it. 911 ready.
How are we going to get them down the hill?
They hit a pizza pie underneath the shed.
We're going to have to roll them down the hill. Come on, baby. Nice, they built the Intercontinental Railroad quicker than this.
If I start playing with these guys,
This is as proud as a pumpkin is. We call it the hockey puck cell phone mount. We took a $500 piece of aluminum, machined it down into a hockey puck, polished it, and then this is so Luciano can talk on a cell phone while he's riding to it. He wants to talk to Italy.
Take selfies of himself.
He wants to be able to unzip his pants while he's riding down a highway. Oh
He
my
can do
God.
that already.
You can do that in Skype while you're
Now show, what a great invention. Look, it plugs right in, and now you don't need a gas cap. That's the best news.
This is the gas
No,
cap.
will JB weld that right in? and, how do you,
Welded to his screen.
and you fill the gas through the petcock. Oh, this is real
Wait,
productive.
You wanted one of those
Yeah.
mounts for the GoPro.
No, the GoPro, yeah,
So
yeah.
why couldn't we just
the
do
hockey
the
puck GoPro?
$500 billet aluminum GoPro mount? Why not? It
Oh
works.
my God, what a day this is turning. Look at it, John's gonna put this on the Ducati site. Put it up for all those guys. Brutally. The ultimate brutally. Boy, and with this day actually did turn out to be a wonderful day. Luciano's on his way to Gavin's to buy some more paint. Mark knows what he has to buy now. We got an awful lot done. Joe had a great day. See if he can fit. Hey, Mark, he may be pushing it to the limit here. Oh, he's only got one mirror. That's good. Okay.
We can still bring a Hot Wheel
All
track.
right. Now that these guys are done, Miles, now you can put your tracks back. Now that we're done with all this motorcycle paraphernalia here. Let's get that spin storm going. Anyway, a great day. I know you had a lot of fun with spin storm.
Oh yeah.
These little outtakes, I get a smile on my face every time I look at them. And keep in mind, this was a few years ago when we had the full A-team. I'll call it the full A-team. I'm guessing there were probably 15, 20 people that we would all meet at Choppers every Saturday and Sunday, and we'd ride through Harriman Park, and all winter we'd be going to each other's shops and restoring motorcycles and helping each other work on bikes. And I called it the A-Team. I stole the name from Chip Foose, and we did that overhauling. There's a whole bunch of those overhauling videos out on YouTube. I guess you could just type in the word overhauling, Wendy Ertnowski in quotes, and then the word overhauling. But some of them are so memorable. When Glenn got the new house with the new shop, we worked on that shop. When the Jot was here, we worked on the Jot's bike. A lot of times Chris was here and we'd work on her bike. Lauren was here many times working on her Ducati. It was so nice. Jose was always generous with his time. We had so many good memories, and the thing that makes it special for me is I saved every one of them on my computer. It's a good thing I have a mega memory computer that I can save all this stuff, because a lot of times you forget it. But in the middle of the winter when it's freezing cold out, you look back at some of these pictures, some of these little videos, and in my case I look back at them and it's like the end of, if anybody's watched the movie It's a Wonderful Life, you look back at the end of the movie and you say, yay, Wendy, you had a wonderful life. Well, you know what? We all had a wonderful life. Everybody that was part of the A-Team, and maybe everybody that's involved in motorcycling, we all worked together. I worked on a lot of Vlad's stuff, Vince's stuff, painted wheels, and in the end, there's something very special, the friendships you make through motorcycling. I can't even explain it, but I know they exist, and I know they don't exist in some other more casual hobbies. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed our little memory lane trip, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks so much for watching.